Jack Sanborn is back. Caleb making business moves. Huge guest tomorrow that we're going to talk about. And yeah, a little look at the salary cap space. All of it. The Bears are busy. The CHGO Bears podcast starts right now. Indeed he is. You know, I told everybody, Gregory, that the Bears were making the biggest mistake in the history of the Bears when they let Jack Sanborn go to the sad-ass Dallas Cowboys and ultimately reunite with Matt Eberflus on a one-year deal. That was so foolish. But, you know, they righted it wrong, and they brought 57 back. And I got to be honest, I'm very disappointed we're not in studio today so I could bust out the 57 jersey that is hanging proudly because we never got rid of it because we knew he would be back.
We must have known something because, yes, it has still been – we have like a hanger for all our jerseys for all the different sports we cover. And every time there's the sand guy just waiting.
Yeah. You know, listen, I get it. You know, the Bears are all about speed and – getting a defense that can run faster than the track team runs at the Olympics. But it's also important to have dudes that like to tackle and, you know, can play special teams and can just dominate by their sheer presence just walking into the room. And I got to be honest, I'm completely surprised it happened, but I am enjoying it thoroughly that Jack Sanborn is indeed back as whatever he will be. We'll talk about what that is in a second here. But hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Busy show today as always. Caleb Williams doing some business with the Iceman trademark. We'll talk about that and even just take a peek at you know, what's coming down the road with Caleb. And then, yeah, that Bears salary cap is shrinking. Gregory, it is good to see you. I will tell everybody before the show today, we did 45 plus minutes with number 29, Rueben Harris, from the 1994 to 1997 Chicago Bears. And the Ultra back, as he was affectionately known, still known, is doing a ton of stuff in the mental health space. So we talked some football, and then we talked a bunch of stuff that we never talk on this show, and then we got back to some football at the end. So that'll run tomorrow. It was a phenomenal conversation. Raymon's the man. I really enjoyed it, and I thought you were great too, Gregory.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So this is essentially show number 2 for us today, so look forward to sharing that with you guys tomorrow. As you know, little March Madness is rolling along right now. When we were on with Rueben Harris, it was halftime, and Ohio State, because Rueben Harris went to Ohio State, they were down by like 15 at halftime. And since we entered the interview, Ohio State has come rumbling back. So I know a lot of people are, you know, just locked into the tournament right now, but you get a little hour with us, with the Bears, as we watch how the Big Ten starts things off here against TCU.
All right, so we'll keep you up to date there. And yeah, by the way, I mean, we'll talk about Bet365 coming up here, but if you had done the early payout offer, you would have cashed on TCU. They were up 13. And you could still be a Buckeye fan. That you could have cashed, bet the Buckeyes, got the points at that point, lived the dream, all sorts of things going on there. But okay. All right, let's talk about this in a real way, actually. Jack Sanborn coming back. Not just my own excitement of it, because I told everybody that this undrafted free agent was going to be a good player in the NFL, and I was right, as I traditionally am. Thank you, and that's why you listen to this podcast, for my brilliant football takes that are just nonstop. But I do it is interesting to me how he exactly fits, and right. Also, you know, Ben doesn't know him the way that Matt Eberflus knew him. Neither does Dennis Allen. So I do wonder how much Richard Hightower and special teams were a part of this, and obviously Ryan Poles, who knows how he can help this football team. But what's your read on it, Gregory? Because they are up against the cap, and they don't have a ton of money to spend, and they brought the Sand God back on a cheap 1-year deal.
It's definitely surprising, to your point, that of course there's the Ryan Poles connection, but there isn't a Ben Johnson or Dennis Allen connection outside of maybe Ben admiring his play from across the sidelines when he was coaching at Detroit. Ultimately, I think we know what it is when it comes to this linebacker room. And yes, you add Devin Bush to the fray. You bring back, a guy in DeMarco Jackson, who I think a lot of Bears fans, have built a lot of trust in after the end of the season and the impact he had. But ultimately, I just think they're looking for insurance policies because kind of like the left tackle situation, and just trying to bring as many names in there as you can so you can go into training camp with a healthy room. I think that's kind of the same thing going on with the linebacker room because you just don't know with the injuries that TJ Edwards and Noah Sewell sustained. Noah Sewell tore his Achilles at the end of the year. He's likely to not be available all of next year. And TJ Edwards had a pretty brutal injury himself. And so while yesterday we talked with Adam Johns and we brought up the name Jacob Rodriguez as a potential mid-round pick for the Bears, you ultimately do not know how the board is going to fall to you as you get to those middle rounds. So having some assurances before you get to that point and then creating a little competition for the summer is to me what the plan here is.
Yeah. Follow me down this road. Who do you, right now, if you had to guess, let's say everyone's healthy, including TJ, who's the middle linebacker?
TJ Edwards.
Who's the weak side linebacker?
That would be Devin Bush.
Who's the strong side linebacker?
That would be DeMarco Jackson.
Right. So I think that's the logical way to look at it. But I almost think they're looking at it, and I don't think they signed DeMarco to be a starter. But I do think they signed him in the anticipation that if TJ can't be the starter, then DeMarco will be the middle. Like, I think Devin Bush is locked into that weak side spot. He's going to go run up and make 125 tackles in their mind, hopefully like he did for Cleveland last year. That dude's going to be running free with his speed, making plays. That's how, I would think that he steps right into the role that they carved out for Tremaine Edmonds when Dennis Allen, started to really understand what he had on the defense. So I think that's where you'll see Devin Bush. Then in the middle, you'll either have DeMarco or if things go right, it'll be TJ. And then on
you asked me in a vacuum if everyone's healthy.
Okay.
And that's why I chose TJ. Now, if we're living in reality, that name more than likely is DeMarco Jackson because I can't promise how TJ Edwards is going to come back from his injury.
Right. No, I'm not trying to prove your brilliance wrong because I think you're right. So I think that's how they want it to go. But they also think they're ensuring that, look, we've got this. DeMarco can play it. He did it last year. And so in that scenario, if DeMarco's in the middle, TJ's not yet healthy, I think Sanborn steps into the strong side and plays those 20% snaps when they're in three linebackers. I think that's the role that they're envisioning for him alongside special teams, alongside an insurance for if anybody gets hurt, then hey, listen, it wouldn't be ideal, but he can play all three spots.
And I agree with the Giggities here. Up higher in the chat where he says Sanborn fits the young theme of 26, but he doesn't fit the speed theme. His instincts make him play faster than he is. I completely agree with that entire statement. If we brought on one of the DLLS guys that cover the Cowboys, for us down there, there was cut-ups you could see of Sanborn just getting destroyed in coverage, right? And so that quick twitch, you're playing zone. Now here comes a crosser. You got to go chase him down. He doesn't have that speed, but he does have downhill speed, straight line speed. And his instincts, kind of like what we saw with DeMarco Jackson last year as well, to identify run fits and attack those gaps. That's what he is good at. And DeMarco Jackson won 2 Player of the Week honors last year because of that. Now, I think a lot of people will tell you when a linebacker is getting a lot of tackles, that means your D-line isn't. So doesn't always necessarily mean your defense is playing great when those linebackers are able to stack up those kind of numbers that result in weekly honors like DeMarco Jackson did. That being said, somebody's got to make the tackle. And so if they're running the ball, you can rest assured that Jack Sanborn and DeMarco Jackson are going to come downhill and fill their gap and make a tackle. That's what they do. Now, in coverage, that's a different story. But as I mentioned earlier, in terms of trying to fill that room out with youth and speed, which is clearly the goal of Ryan Poles, Ben Johnson, Dennis Allen, they may or may not be able to add it to that room come draft time. There's some intriguing options, at the linebacker position in some of those middle rounds, but you don't know how the draft is going to fall to you. So you got to have some assurances to go in there. But to your point earlier about the salary cap, there's certainly, and I think we're going to get into that here in a little bit, but there's certainly, they're doing a little bit of a dance here because there's some maneuvering that needs to be done, even to pay for the rookie class. But like I said, we'll get into that later.
So, would you like to address, because, I got tweets yesterday from Craig at barely sane 85, bitterly disappointed in at CHGO, especially at the Carm. No emergency pod for the return of the Sand God. ? Exclamation point.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing it all over the chats today. We proudly talk on this program how no matter what happens, we break in. If something Bears happens, we're in there. And the guy that had 64 tackles coming in as a proud rookie in 2022 followed up with 65 in 23. And made everybody buy 57 jerseys. They literally were flying off the shelves, and we didn't do an emergency pod yesterday. Now I was doing my Midtown power action and getting the hips ready. Tough loss last night to Big Jake, 6-4-6-3. I'm gonna puke, but we won't talk about that. I said, "Are we doing an emergency pod?" You said no. And so did Steven, by the way, which is why he's taking the day off. You guys said it wasn't worthy. So why don't you explain to the CHGO Bears massive, passionate fandom how the Sand God coming back wasn't worthy of an emergency pod?
Well, I have no good explanation for this. And I guess since Steven isn't here today, because, all he does is take days off, he's notorious for that. He's famous for the amount of days off he takes. I will conveniently throw him under the bus because I was with my daughter, and this is where I use my daughter as a shield. I had just picked her up from school. This huge news breaks. I definitely felt like we should do an emergency pod, but I simply wasn't available. Now, we have a plethora of talent on our team, starting with you, Mark Carman. Obviously, you're notorious for your love of the Sand God, so I knew you'd be, shot ready, as they say here, if we're going to use basketball terms. And there you were dropping a video, because we couldn't do an emergency pod, but, where's Patrick Norton to the rescue? Where's Adam Johns to the rescue? We know Hoag's on vacation, and this is an opportunity for others to step up. And, so Steven, just didn't want to do it, which is disappointing. And I feel bad for Sanborn and you. And I just think that other people should have answered the bell.
Listen to this pathetic excuse, and not just you being unwilling to point the thumb. I will actually point the thumb.
I know Raymond Harris is going to be very disappointed in me right now.
Yeah, well, I'll point the thumb, and to everybody out there that wanted it yesterday. I mean, I tried to satiate you with an Instagram video. I don't know if we can play that or not. That I put on Twitter as well. And a tweet, but that wasn't good enough. That's honestly, that's not what the Sand God deserved.
No, he deserved better.
He deserved better, and I got to point the thumb at myself, and just say that, quite frankly, I should have done better. I'm going to.
The other thing I'll say on a more serious note, to turn it back here.
No.
Is I know a lot of people are not only connecting dots on, I think people are connecting dots that, this means that TJ Edwards isn't going to be healthy when the season starts, or, this means that they are done with Rueben Hyppolite. I don't think either of those are necessarily true. This is a guy they're bringing back on a 1-year deal. They've had many 1-year deals here this offseason, and I think they're just trying to patchwork their way through this season, build themselves up for a competitive roster, something where players might fit the mold a little better of what Dennis Allen wants to do and execute from a defensive standpoint, but nothing that's going to mortgage the future. Rueben Hyppolite's still a part of this future, and people gave up on Noah Sewell, and he, at the start of training camp last year and the start of the season, was one of the highlighted guys by the coaching staff. He was primed to have a pretty good year and potentially a breakout year. Had a really good week 1 against the Vikings, all over the place, making tackles. So I would caution people that are already throwing out the towel on Rueben Hyppolite. And I would also caution people that are writing off TJ Edwards. I understand his injury is serious and his age is a consideration, but this is insurance policies to win and if, not these things are in fact happening. So I think some people are just drawing some conclusions that we haven't gotten to yet. Let's not skip steps.
Well, we won't, but Rueben Hyppolite, who Hogue has told us that the Bears still like, I do think it's a logical thing to jump to the Hyppolite and be like, I don't know if the Hyppolite's going to be Hyppoliting in Chicago or anywhere. He's got to prove himself to be an NFL player. I hopefully and Ruben's
what they signed DeMarco Jackson to? A 2-year deal?
2-year deal.
2-year deal. They got this guy on a 1-year deal.
Sanborn, look, Sanborn's in a fight to make the team. There's no doubt about it.
Right.
And so is Ruben. It's going to be a training camp battle. But Jack Sanborn has had productive years in the NFL. So I get it. Ruben's faster and they love speed, but there's a reason he's here. It's not just to cut him. So we'll see.
And then finally, because I know we got to take a time out here, but we have to shout out Junkyard Sports.
Junkyard.
While there's a lot of big insiders out there breaking news. Even Carm broke news last camp. We kind of missed something here because a couple days ago we had a tweet. Tagged it to us. You can see at the bottom. We were tagged. CHGO Bears. Junkyard Sports with the scoop. This was a day before any of the big outlets or anybody out there put out that Jack Sanborn was returning to the Bears. And here's Junkyard Sports breaking news. Jack Sanborn is returning to the Bears on a 1-year deal. The fan favorite and hometown kid returns to the city of Chicago after a 1-year stint in Dallas. And he tagged obviously the heavy hitters in Adam Schefter, Jeremy Fowler, Jacob Infante, CHGO Bears, and Barstool Big Cat.
See that Junkyard. I hope you're watching. Listen, I should know if anybody tags CHGO Bears, so I'll point the thumb at me there. But Junkyard, any of those guys on there, you should have tagged me over them. Don't give Sanborn to Barstool Big Cat or Jacob Infante or Adam Schefter. I'm the guy. That if you wanted that out there, you should have come to me because I would have DM'd you. I would have followed you. We would have had lunch to discuss this intel that you had, and we'd be best friends right now. But instead, you shot too high on the food chain, and you got nothing. But good on you, Gregory, for finding Junkyard because I'm disappointed. All right, let's talk some Caleb coming back, and I got a slight bit of breaking summer camp news coming back here, Bragg. Yep. This is a big deal. People need to know, so we're gonna do it. Coming back, but first, good, better, best. Shout out to our friends at Bet365, Chicago's home to the most iconic 3-word slogan in American sports. And Bet365, they're honoring that shirtless rally cry. Shout out you, Ben Johnson. With the 3-word motto of their own, it's early payout offer. Here's how it works. Right now, if you had made a wager on TCU, if you were riding them, they go up 10 points. Right now, they're up 13. At any point in the game, you would have gotten paid right there. That's how it works. Tons of games, tons of action today. Get back to what really matters. By the way, after you cash in, you can just start defending tavern style on the internet or whatever you want to do. Bet365, where winning is everything. Yes, it's no Chicago handshake, but it is a great deal. Download the best thing, Bet365. You put in $150 in promo coming your way after you deposit $10. Make a bet for $5. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Please gamble responsibly. $10 minimum deposit is required. You do have to be 21 or older.
That's right. I want to give a shout out to our good friends over at Four Seasons. Look, winter isn't over quite yet. Don't let it fool you. Don't let the spring temperatures fool you. You're going to need to make sure your home is up for the heating challenge. And now is the time to schedule your Four Seasons furnace tune-up. And if you're thinking about a whole home generator, they have you covered. Those always come in clutch when some of those nasty storms come in, like we've seen here in the last couple weeks. So with Four Seasons, they guarantee same-day installation for all your heating, cooling, plumbing, electrical, and generator needs with no extra charge for nights, weekends, or holidays. You can save a ton of money with Four Seasons. Their trusted local experts are heating, air conditioning, plumbing, sewer, and electric. With Four Seasons, they've been serving Chicagoland for over 50 years. So visit fourseasonsheatingcooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's fourseasonsheatingcooling.com.
I just texted my guy Sean Sharif down in Dallas, and I asked him why did Jack Sanborn only play 6 games last year? And to quote my guy Sean Sharif, I don't know if he wants me to quote him here, but I'll do it anyway. Quote, because he sucks and we fell for Eberflus's sell job on him. See, that's why they didn't deserve him down there, because anybody who would say that should be put in the penalty box if we had one. And
yeah, I know if we'd brought Dallas people on from DLS, they would have said the same. They were not too impressed.
Well, they put him in the middle of the defense and asked him to run. That's not what he does.
Correct.
You need fast guys around him, and then he comes up and smokes and makes tackles. That's his role. So
this is why you led CHGO Sports to 3 softball championships.
Exactly. You got to know how to use people. You think that I would
AYP, know your personnel.
Exactly right. Do you think I'd put Mario Terabasi at shortstop? No, I didn't. I put him at short center because he dominates, and then put him in the middle of the order because he hits lasers. I mean, you got to know your personnel, man. By the way, okay, so the breaking summer camp news. No surprise, giving back, making it happen. That's right. Sarah, with a drum roll, let me see the graphic. There it is. My guy, Tyson Bagent, the offensive skills camp, May 22nd, coming up here in a couple of months.
Rain or shine. Boy.
At the Glenbrook North Football Stadium. That's Northbrook, Illinois. Come on out, baby. Hit that QR code. We'll have Tyson next week some point, hopefully, to discuss this and a million other things, including still being a Bear. But there it is for you. If you've got a kid that's looking to be the next great quarterback anywhere, May 22nd is your day at Glenbrook North. You like that one there, Gregory?
That's exciting. I know we'll be there. I know you'll be participating. So, I'm excited for all of this content.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. All right. Let's get into Caleb Williams, the businessman. And let's do it with our Xfinity Big Takeaway. Shout out to our friends at Xfinity. This is the Xfinity Big Takeaway presented by Xfinity. Imagine that. All right, Gregory.
Mm-hmm.
Caleb Williams, year 3 incoming.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of this year, by the way, he will be contract extension eligible. Let's have that conversation in a second. But right now, he is businessman proficient, trying to trademark the Iceman in every single way he can possibly do it. Let me give you the verbiage here. A search of the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office on March 16th showed multiple filings were made using the term on Iceman on eyewear, sunglasses, downloadable posters, downloadable computer software featuring digital trading cards, athletic bags, tote bags, didn't know those still existed, backpacks, luggage, water bottles sold empty, sports bottles sold empty, plastic water bottles sold empty, mugs, sweatshirts, Greg Braggs' forehead, shirts, t-shirts, hats, jerseys, jackets, brags his belly, vests, athletic sporting goods, and everything else under the sun, footballs, all of it. So we all knew that he's not just a business man. He is a business, or whatever that saying is. What's your big takeaway on this, Gregory? Shout out to our friends at Xfinity.
My big takeaway is I think he might have trouble getting the Iceman moniker. I like that he's found something that's his. I mean, he is the Iceman. We all know him now. Like, he is. If there were previous Icemen, of previous generations, from Top Gun or, George Gervin, who played for the Bulls, I totally understand that. But these kids, they don't know nothing about any of that. He is the Iceman of this generation. And so I love that he's found his own thing. And he's always been a businessman. If you go back and look, he's always forward thinking. I mean, we all know the Red River rivalry, right? Where he had the big play against Texas, or the comeback where he stepped in for Spencer Rattler, and then led them back after halftime to go ahead and beat Texas. 1 week after that game, he applied for a few trademarks. After that game, he filed for a trademark on his name, a trademark on the Superman logo with his initials, another logo with his initials and his silhouette back then. So this is somebody that has always been trying to find, his branding. And I don't, the Superman thing, I know that was something when he was coming out that he was big on. But I like that the Iceman has stuck with him. I think it's a great nickname. I hope that he can own all of that stuff. I just have doubts that he'd be able to because of previous Icemen.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I care if he gets to make money on all of it. I mean, if he does, that's great. I think Caleb's going to make a lot of money. I think the unfair question to ask here, Gregory, is are you worried that Caleb's focus is wandering to the wallet and not from the field, and that he's not just completely dialed in on his footwork and everything else?
We went through this when he was coming out, and is coming into the NFL. He has what on his Instagram? I'm not a businessman. I'm a business, man. Right. So he's always had that mentality coming in. So yeah, exactly. Thank you, Normandy Plummer. Right on the same page as me. So,
Bo Shannon had it too. Shout out Bo Shannon. Go ahead.
Bo Shannon had it too, but Normandy said it first, had it better. So no, I'm not concerned about that at all. I know he was just in a music video recently where he was doing the Iceman moniker. Now, another thing that he trademarked was his silhouette, where he's throwing on 4th and 8 to Roma Dunze. It's kind of almost like a call out to the Jumpman logo, but it's his. And I think he'll obviously get that one. So I like that. I got no problem with it. Anything to hype up our guy.
Well, and so that one, by the way, part of the popularity of it is so close to the Jumpman. And the Jumpman, certainly, Jumpman, I'm here. He's competitive.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he might not like somebody going real close to his logo with the spread leg. Do you think the Jumpman might come at the Iceman with the lawsuit man? This is way too close, Mr. Chicago. You're imitating me, and now you're trying to make it yours. Could you see that happening?
I just don't think Jordan would be able to, because I get where you're. I don't know. I'm not somebody
copy mark infringement
with the law decree. Would be somebody that would have to speak on this, but I just wouldn't. How would Jordan be able to stop this when it's a silhouette of Caleb? I get the call out. It's close, but it's not the same.
It's pervasive in its proximity to my Jumpman. I don't know. Do we have any lawyers in the chat today? I feel like Bochan's a lawyer, isn't he? Or where's Rob Schwartz? He knows these type of things.
The Giggities says Caleb plays in Chicago. Jordan would not mind it. Giggities, I don't know if you know Jordan, because he'll run down your local grocery store if they use his name, image, and likeness without proper
the guy he sued Jewel for like they were giving away posters that for like kids that was not under his purveyance, that he didn't listen, the dude's protective of the brand. He'll get what's his longtime assistant's name? I forget. I should never. That's a bad job by me. By the way,
bad job by you.
Did you see the video that I put out there yesterday at MJ's place? Did you watch that?
You were at MJ's place yesterday?
Yeah. You didn't see?
No, I did not see
Nobody watches nobody watches my content.
That's not true. I just didn't see it. But why were you there?
Sarah, can you play that? Is it possible? Is that a possibility?
Just throw this at her.
Why?
Are we good? Go for it. Big pull, release. That's one.
We're doing this.
2.
Whatever I'm doing.
3. Cable lat pull down.
Lat pull down for my guy 57. Back in the building. Jack Sanborn.
There it is.
Why they never let you go? I have no idea. But you're back. And I know you're going to be better than ever before.
Mark's got the perfect form for you, Jack. That's 10.
11.
11.
12. How many are we doing?
You're done.
Super Bowl.
Beautiful.
So you sneak into Jordan's place to do this?
No, so that was a Midtown extravaganza. But I went to, it's off the tweet that I said, Sarah. There's a
this is why you don't throw things.
Just relax. That was good too. That was bonus content right there. Did you see that? I mean, you wouldn't do the emergency pod, so I did that because I felt like we hadn't done enough. And look at those lat pull downs, buddy. You see what I'm doing behind the scenes?
It was a great job, and everyone in the
you.
chat's very impressed.
Thank you. I mean, the form was
we made
strong.
it 31 minutes before this went off the rails.
Okay. All right, let's do this. Let's take a brief. let's take a brief interlude, and I will regale you with this. But I have a big Caleb question for you coming back here. That we kind of slept on something from the combine that we should talk about. That's revolving around Caleb and the Iceman. So let's do all of that in a second. But first. A shout out to our friends at Sunnyside. They are back, and we are oh so happy about it. They're here to elevate your baseball season. Opening day 1 week away, and Sunnyside's your home for judgment-free shopping. The crazy selection, 100 different strains to choose from, easy online ordering, in-store pickup, whatever you want to do, they've got it for you. Illinois' got locations all over the place, including right by Wrigley Field and up at South Beloit, down in Champaign. They've got you. And they've got the only the best under the sun promo going on, 50% off on your first 3 online purchases. That's right, 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Use the promo code HICHGO at checkout. HICHGO at checkout. Sunnyside Dispensary, only the best under the sun, only for 21 and older or Illinois medical card holders.
That's right. And shout out to Sunnyside. Welcome back. We appreciate their unwavering support to CHGO Sports. And shout out to Sling TV. Just dropping in here lately with the tournament going on. And I'll tell you right now, Sling TV is one of the most flexible ways to watch live TV. With the college basketball tournament here, Sling TV gives you access to the games and more control over how and where you tune in. Check this out. Sling has flexible 1, 3, or even 7-day pass options. That means instant access to live TV for the men's and women's tournament. You can get a day pass starting at just $4.99. But listen here, if you purchase any pass from Sling and a 12 through 16 seed makes it to the round of 16 in either men's or women's tournament, then your next day pass is just $1. So get signed up at sling.com/underdog. Live TV your way. Learn more at sling.com/underdog. No purchase required. To learn more, to see the full rules, visit sling.com/underdog.
All right, so we'll get into the salary cap in a second and my amazing performance outside Jordan's place in a moment as well. But, if you go back to the combine, Gregory, and we were standing there with good old Ryan Poles, and he said this when talking about, putting a roster together and, the money that they're spending or not spending. He said, quote, "We want to stay in that sweet spot where we have a maximum amount of flexibility as we move on, not only for this year, but 3 years down the road, 3. And then he said, I hope eventually to have a quarterback situation too, where we got to pay a young quarterback that comes into play as well. And then he finishes up with, I think we're getting closer and closer to clarity on that side of things. All right. So what do you think good old Ryan Poles is looking for as far as the clarity this year? Because it could look, Caleb's not, I don't think anybody thinks that Caleb's going to come cheap. Caleb is a businessman. He's a business, all that. He's going to want to get paid. And if he plays well this year, it would be in the Bears' best interest to at least consider paying him as early as possible because the prices just keep going up. So, if you had to speculate outside of, raising 57% to, I don't know, closer to 67%, what do you think needs to happen this year? Or is there anything that could happen this year that the Bears would be?
I think they're clearly on the right track. When you hear Caleb last year talk about how in the summer he wasn't even sure if Ben liked him, and then all the way to the end of the year where Caleb's getting emotional as he's handing him the game ball after one of their big wins as they're heading to the playoffs. Like, their relationship has culminated into something special here. And so now it's just about fine tuning, all the little things for Caleb Williams. We know what he's capable of in terms of special, clutch, big time throws and things that very few quarterbacks can do. And so now it's just about, as tomorrow's theme of the show with Raymond Harris, it's just about developing that consistency. And so, like, we're closer to that clarity is the quote that Ryan Poles said about paying the quarterback, is what you said, Carm?
Yep.
To me, it's just about, this is Ben Johnson's show. So when he gives the seal of approval to pay him an insane amount of money, that's when it's going to happen. And I have a hard time believing Ben won't be at that point. I think he can clearly see where the development is and the amount of work that Caleb puts into his game. And so if there was any questions of that last summer and going into the season on how this was all going to work, I think we're past all those questions. Now it's just about, all right, now we know what our floor is with Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson, but what is the ceiling? And so to me, the clarity all is Ben saying, pay this man his money because I got my quarterback. And, as talented as Caleb Williams is, I have a hard time believing that Ben will be looking anywhere else other than Caleb Williams to be his quarterback for the future.
Top of the food chain right now, 2025 is Dak Prescott at $60 million. Then Josh Allen, $55 million. Also at 55, Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, Jordan Love. Tua, that disaster, 53.1. Jared Goff's making 53, along with Brock Purdy. 52.5 for Herbert, 52 for Lamar. I just saw somebody in the chat put 70 million incoming. It's crazy, man. Like, these are, I screamed back in the day, do not give Jay Cutler an extension. He sucks. And they did, and it was a nightmare. And I understand that was a little hyperbolic. He obviously didn't quote suck. I just didn't think I did not think you wanted to go down that road with him. But and I listen. I think the Bears hopefully there will be no doubt that they'll want to go down the road with Caleb. But it will be interesting to see how this, we're way ahead of the curve here. But Poles brought it up himself. I think we kind of slept on that comment a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, they're all about making guys earn it. That's what the culture has become with this locker room and this organization with Ben Johnson. And so I don't think they're putting the cart before the horse with anybody. And so I wouldn't read too deeply into that, other than to say that there's, that I think they as a coaching staff and organization and as a quarterback understand that there's more work that needs to be done. And I know the completion percentage is a trigger point for fans and some out there, because there's more to Caleb Williams' game than what his completion percentage is. But Ben Johnson himself brought it up when the season was over, and I think it's less about what his completion percentage is and more of what that represents. And that, again, going back to our theme for tomorrow's show, it's about consistency. And while they had just unbelievable comebacks at the end of games and they he made some big time throws, there was just so many games where it would take him 3 quarters to find that as an offense or as a quarterback. And how Ben Johnson is. We all watched him on the sidelines and the maniac that he is. He even in the Niners game, I think this is where it stood out the most to me with Ben Johnson's level of expectation. That Niners Bears game was like the most fun Bears game I had ever seen, going toe to toe with an offensive, powerhouse that's been this way for years with Kyle Shanahan, trading punches for 4 quarters. And Ben's like, at the end of the game, he goes to the podium and I think he's going to blast the defense, and he blasted the offense. He said, we didn't do enough on offense in the first quarter, in the first half, and that's why we lost. This was a team that scored 40 points. So Ben's expectation for what the offense should be is much higher than all of us, because we're all just fine and dandy with where they're at. But I promise you, Ben has a whole nother echelon he wants to hit. They set a record as a team, most touchdowns in franchise history for the Chicago Bears in a season, 53. They had 70 in Detroit the year before. So there's more to be untapped where Ben wants to go.
Well, and I think you nailed it 10 minutes ago when you said it, and you're just underlining it again right now. And this is what will make the decision easy for Ryan Poles. He's just going to go to Ben. Hey, dude, this is the market. Do you want to pay him? Are you all in? And when Ben says, yeah, pay him, let's do it, he's my guy. I've seen enough. We had a great offseason. He had a great season. We are, having sleepovers in the office when things are not right, and that's rare nowadays because things are so right. Then that's when they'll pay him. It could be as early as next season, because you hopefully would be talking about paying a, I don't know, Pro Bowl quarterback with multiple playoff wins coming out of his 3rd year, who's taking over the city. I mean, that would be the goal of what's going to happen this year.
Yeah. And so while we're getting close to our final break, I mean, in terms of the topic of discussion, obviously that payday will certainly take a hit to the Bears salary cap. Albert Breer put out a tweet that for this year, and I think part of the reason why you're seeing a lot of these 1-year deals with the Bears in terms of their salary cap, this was Albert Breer's tweet from yesterday, I believe, where he said, a week into the league year, NFL accounting on the 10 teams tightest to the cap. And number 1 with the lowest amount of cap space by a wide margin is your Chicago Bears, with only $213,000 left of salary cap usage. The Panthers are second with $4.57 million. And that's second. Third, $5.41 million, all the way down to 10th. The 10th least amount of cap space, the Chiefs, at $13.34 million. So the Bears, with their only 2, they are scraping at the bottom of the barrel trying to find cash for the rest of this offseason. And they're going to have to restructure some players, obviously, because they still have to pay their rookie class. And, smarter men than me will be able to tell you what that average is every year. but they're going to need another $10 to $20 million of salary cap usage for their draft class, and then any moves they want to make here in the future, which I think they will do. But I think that highlights kind of why the Bears are so limited in some of the moves they've been able to make.
Yeah, and look, they haven't done any restructuring yet. So
Gary's in the chat saying Bears need $15 million for draft class and in-season moves.
So let Gary's always on point. So let's just assume that that's correct. 15 mil. Okay. So Kyler Gordon, Cole Kmet, we've been talking about this. They'll have, they're gonna have to find their way. They're obviously not going to be doing it with a guy like DJ because they traded him. So who on the roster, can they find some money and kick a little bit of the can down the road and pay guys, now, with the restructuring that they will do. I'm not a restructure expert here, clearly, as you hear me talking about it, but that's what's going to happen. And so perhaps they're done. Perhaps Jack Sanborn will be the last move of the offseason as far as free agents going. I'm going to doubt that, but
I mean, and they're somewhat limited on like some of the restructuring targets that fans had brought up before the offseason started. Those players aren't on the team anymore, so they're a little more limited on who they can restructure. And I think Kyler is somebody you can certainly point to, got a big contract. Gary brings up Jonah Jackson and Cole Kmet are obvious ones that I think people would bring up. But after that, you don't have very many. And so it's just going to be interesting to see how they maneuver through this.
Well, Gary's saying surprise trade. So let's just look at that for a second. Is anybody trading for Montez Sweat and his $25 million? Would the Bears be willing to give that up? That's your top paid guy. I highly doubt it. Jalen's making $24.5 million this year. Is someone trading for Jalen Johnson at 27 years old, coming off core muscle surgery, paying him that rate? Maybe, but I would doubt it. And that also would be giving up on a guy. But if I were the Bears and somebody did want Jalen, I'd be very tempted to do it just for that level of flexibility. But I would doubt it. So then going down the road, you're not trading Joe Thuney. Nobody wants Dayo Odangbo. Jonah's an interesting one. Possible, I suppose, still a boatload of money, 19.5 for a guard. I get it, guard salaries have gone way up, but maybe that's probably the most realistic there. But it's not, and I don't think they're trading Cole. Nobody wants TJ Edwards with his injury situation. And then you're down to DeAndre Swift, who it seems like he's here. But that DeAndre Swift could be an interesting name there, because you could draft a running back and try to get cheaper there. But I don't know, even if you're doing that, then your drafted running back is gonna be your top guy alongside Kyle Monunga. I doubt it. So I have a hard time believing they're gonna make any significant trade.
Well, let's take a time out here because we're all anticipating patiently for this video of Mark Carman outside of Michael Jordan's former home. So we'll come back to that here in 2 minutes.
And a shout out to our friends at Ray CDJR. New vehicles are in store at Ray Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. And this is your chance to score a great deal at the Declaration of Deals sales event. You go to Ray CDJR on Route 12 in Fox Lake, and you can look at their huge inventory from Chryslers to Dodges to Jeeps to the Ram models. And right now, you're getting 0% financing for 60 months on new vehicles. Won't make you do the math today, Gregory. That's 5 years.
5 years, Carm.
5 years, buddy. 0% financing. And, of course, you get the Ray price promise. You know you're going to shop confidently. No add-ons, no hidden fees. Ever the price you see, price you pay. It is that simple. The team at Ray CDJR is the only one that we recommend. Do it for the Declaration of Deals sales event. Huge savings. For more information, visit Ray CDJR today on Route 12 in Fox Lake or online at raycdjr.com. Serving the community since 1963.
That's right. Shout out to Ray CDJR and shout out to Shady Rays. That's right. Check out these new shades here Got them while I was down in Arizona at their flagship store in Scottsdale. You got to make sure you check them out if you're down there. But we all know, hey, listen, the best thing about Shady Rays is if you lose or break your pair even on day one, got this one of my glasses here. It's a little bent on this side. I can send these in and get a brand new pair, no guilt trip, just replacements. That's how it works with Shady Rays. They are your top choice, not stupidly expensive. They're good looking, polarized, durable. And this is what it's all about, taking care of you, having your back in case you lose them or break them. So now you can wear your sunglasses without fear. So go to shadyrays.com and use the code CHGOSR for 40% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. That's right. Hit up shadyrays.com. You falling asleep over there?
No, the text line is buzzing. So I'm sorry. I should have been listening.
Texting you? Bagent or Sanborn or Caleb?
All the above, buddy. All the above. So I was driving home yesterday, Gregory, and I was like, how do I properly honor this? And I was like, oh my God.
Honor what?
Honor the sand god.
Oh, I see.
All hail. I had to go to the goat's house. And let me tell you something. The gate at MJ's is open, which is a Sanborn thing. I could have just snuck in. I didn't. But whoever just went in, they didn't invite me. I should have forced them. But I figured I'd go to Mike's because the goat's back. Sand God, welcome home, baby. Just snuck in. Gone and played some hoop, too. Great move, Ryan Poles. Welcome back, Jack Sanborn. It was open. What do you...
I just love that as soon as you walked up, they started closing it. It's the right move.
Let me just for that moment in time, and what happened, for full transparency, I'm walking up to the gate and this car comes up. And I'm like, who are you? And most cars that come up, they take a picture and they leave. These dudes open the gate. And I'm like, I almost felt like I should follow the car and be like, hey,
why didn't you get them to let you come through?
My name's Mark Carman. I do the CHGO Bears podcast with Greg Braggs.
As soon as they had heard Braggs, they'd have let you in. You should have name dropped.
Right. I worship Michael Jordan more than I've ever worshipped anything. Is there any way I could possibly just join you guys? I know it's an odd request here, but I'm a major public figure. There's no way that I'm going to do anything salacious in this house. Do you think they would have let me in?
I mean, yeah, maybe. What are they doing with that house? Isn't it like a rent?
It's an Airbnb.
Right. So like whoever was rolling up there, I mean, maybe they have rules. They probably have stringent rules. Like, let's say there were people that were renting it out. I'm sure there's some pretty strict rules about just letting anybody roll through with you. So maybe they wouldn't have. But you should have asked. Closed mouths don't eat.
Yeah, I didn't eat, but I did think
my motto is ask for forgiveness, not for permission. So you should have just ran in there.
What if I just sprinted past their car and like did the jump man slash the Iceman, and we could just talk MJ. I could have whipped out I literally could have just gone to my garbage can and pulled out a poster.
Look at that.
Yeah, that's a good one right there. I got this one for you.
Busting all these out.
I got this one for you.
Let's see. We'll turn it around.
Mike and Patrick.
Oh, that's a good one.
And can you see this? Wait, hold on. Right there. Signed. MJ.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Inside Sports. This thing, if I had kept it and not laminated it and
what does it say? It's 2, though?
It says 2 Mark, Michael Jordan.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I was there. I could have done one more, like last one. I mean, look at this. Look at this, Gregory. 20-year Bulls anniversary.
Wow.
We got
We could do a whole show on this. I'd be happy to. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, like Mike's at the top there. We got an Orlando Whirlwinds. George Gervin.
George
Full
Gervin,
circle for the show, the
Iceman.
Iceman.
So you should have had that for our Iceman segment.
Yeah. Yeah, there he is, the Iceman, and before the Iceman.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know how we just got into that whole part of the show, but
No, it's good. And obviously March Madness is going on. So, Ohio State, TCU is like the first kind of whiff of madness. Ohio State came storming back, but to just fall short, TCU hit a big shot with about 5 seconds left in the game, and Ohio State wasn't able to tie it with a half-court heave from Bruce Thornton. But Nebraska, representing the Big Ten, Nebraska had never won a tournament game. They were the only Power 5 school in all of college basketball to have never won a tournament game. They were, I believe, 0-8, and they finally got their win here today over Troy. So congrats to them. And now we look to Wisconsin. Hoag's squad is taking on High Point, and we knew that this was going to be a good game, and it has been. It's halftime, and I think it's only a 2-point game right now. So I'm excited to put a bow on this show and get to some madness watching. There is few days better in our sports calendar than day one of the NCAA tournament that Thursday.
I mean, you guys are the real OGs who are with us today. Is anybody watching the show today? How's our numbers doing here?
Don't worry about the numbers. It's not about the size of the viewers. It's about the quality of the viewers. And I would say today is our most quality viewers you will ever have. They're not in it for all the pomp and circumstance. They're not in it for all the bells and whistles. They're not chasing the Hollywood coattails of Adam Hogue and Adam Johns. They're here in the dirt, in the mud, in the trenches with Mark Carman and Greg Braggs on Show and Tell segment here in the deepest parts of the offseason at the 57-minute mark of the CHGO Bears podcast. You guys are the true diehards.
All right, diehards, I want anybody who can name all three of these Atlanta Hawks, I will send out a Jordan something for you. You need to name all three of these Atlanta Hawks, because that is Mike in the lane.
Well, it's Dominique, clearly, but the other two, good luck.
Well, one of them is very prominent.
Yeah, I know.
One of them's certainly very prominent. He was a Hawk. He was a Nick.
Mm-hmm.
Long-time coach.
Ooh, look at Chim. Chim's dropping.
He almost had it. Got it wrong. There's
a little bit of a reflection, too.
That's better.
Hard. So, I mean, but I like that Chim's kind of aging himself a little bit, though, by ripping those names.
Chim got the hardest one.
The fact that Jim was, Illinois Jones.
Illinois Jones has it. Although he's spelled Concac in a very, very weird way, but that'll work.
That's okay.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think Chim is kind of aging himself a little bit. We're getting a little closer to his identity by him dropping John Concac.
That's good. Let me do the final two here, Bragg's new segment on the show on NCAA.
Final 2 minutes. We're wrapping at the hour. No overtime today.
Final two. The Minnesota Vikings brought back Carson Wentz. So their quarterback room is J.J. McCarthy, Kyler Murray, and Carson Wentz. And I would personally like to thank the Minnesota Vikings for being the former Chicago Bears. Because that QB room, for lack of a better word, sucks. And we've been there. Shout out to my guy, Henry Burris and P.T. Willis and Brian Hoyer and name a Bears quarterback. Let's go to you, Andy Dalton. Remember when we had Nick Foles? Doesn't Andy Dalton and Nick Foles and a Justin Fields, doesn't it sound like that room?
It's actually a pretty fair comp there. I mean, it's a little different because when that room was there was still much hope for Justin Fields. He hadn't reached that point of questioning if he could ever do it or not. So, is this room more comparable to last year's Indianapolis Colts room with Daniel Jones, Joe Flacco, and Anthony Richardson? I think maybe that's probably the closer comparison there, where the Colts kind of saw the writing on the wall with Anthony Richardson, and maybe that's what the Vikings are doing now.
Yeah. Well, it's just good to not be that. Hey, thank you to
everybody. 15 seconds.
Thank you to everybody who watched. Thank you to Sarah for producing and dealing with everything I just did. Gregory, you're the man. Raymond Harris tomorrow. It's a phenomenal conversation. Bring your depth seat, if you will. Enjoy the tournament today. We'll see you tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.